I think that was special ed. I don't know, maybe because he's fat as. I don't want to be talking shit about Joe Budden because 50 years, but Joe Budden is my. Let me get that off the top. But he's a fat. And he don't got better hoes than me. He be thinking he always been the last 20 years he been trying to compete with hoes with Freddie Gibbs. Trust me, he want to be me. Hey Joe Budden, you fat as. I don't be talking about bodies because I don't want you. I'm not LGBTQ PR S2QZ, but I'm your, and we supposed to be friends. And sometimes you don't text me back, and I think you would be I'm gonna tell you some shit. I think you would ministry for this like that. When I be texting you and be like, when I be like, yo, I want to come to pull up the basketball. You be doing the industry punk ass. I don't like that, but I love you. You my boy. I love you. You fat as man. You need to stop smoking cigarettes and you getting titties. So you need to you can say whatever you want to say about me. You can say,
ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, winners and losers, haters and congratulators, I stand before you today, not just as a messenger, but as a harbinger of truth, a deliverer of the gospel according to the streets, and the word of the day, the sermon of the week. Oh, it's big, it's heavy, it's sweating profusely. It's Joe Budden, the podfather himself, getting roasted like a rotisserie chicken by none other than Freddie Gibbs. Now, let's get one thing straight off the top. Joe Budden is a legend, a certified member of the Hip Hop Elders Council, a man who single-handedly kept pumping through the last 2 decades of rap and podcasting. But let's not get it twisted. This ain't about respect. This is about roasting, because what Freddie Gibbs did on his Instagram story was nothing short of poetic disrespect. Joe Budden, the man who loves talking, who makes a living talking, was left speechless, left breathless, left tired, and let's be real, probably left hungry too. So let's break this down. Joe Budden, in an attempt to prove he still got it, laced up his orthopedic sneakers, probably hit the court with a knee brace tighter than his last contract, and decided to hoop against his co-hosts. And what happened? Oh, what happened? Joe Budden out there looking like a prime example of when talking goes wrong. Every dribble sounded like his knees were negotiating peace treaties. Every jump shot had the accuracy of a weather forecast. Every step looked like a battle against gravity. My man out there looking like he was hooping underwater. And Freddie Gibbs, God bless his internet-watching, trolling, disrespectful soul, was watching. Not just watching, but documenting. Not just documenting, but roasting. And oh, the roast was spectacular. Fat, out of shape, looking like a washed-up YMCA all-star who never quite made it past varsity. And the real kicker, he told Joe to start smoking cigarettes because he was getting titties. That is some old-school uncle at the barbershop level roasting. That's the type of insult that sticks to your soul. That's the type of insult that makes you reconsider your whole life. Let's pause for a second and really unpack this. Joe Budden, the man who once rapped about being pump it up, is now getting roasted for being pump it down. His knees are creakier than a haunted house door, and his vertical leap is about as impressive as a toddler's attempt at a slam dunk. Freddie Gibbs, with the precision of a sniper, took aim and fired. And let's be honest, Joe Budden's basketball game is about as effective as a screen door on a submarine. But let's not stop there. Let's really dig into the layers of this roast. Freddie Gibbs didn't just call Joe fat, he called him out for being a walking contradiction. Here's a man who built his career on being the voice of the streets, the guy who's always keeping it real, but now he's out here looking like he's auditioning for the next season of My 600-Pound Life. Gibbs didn't just roast Joe's game, he roasted his entire existence. And that, my friends, is what we call a masterclass in disrespect. But let's not act like this is all about a basketball game. No. This is deeper than hoop dreams and broken knees. This is about words. This is about disrespect. This is about J. Cole. You see, Joe Budden, being Joe Budden, decided to insert himself into the ongoing Cold War between Freddie Gibbs and J. Cole. And in his infinite wisdom, Joe Budden told J. Cole he shouldn't even bother responding to a Freddie Gibbs diss track. Like he, Joseph Budden, the rap game's equivalent of an uncle who used to have a record deal, was the official spokesperson for J. Cole's career. Now, I don't know if it was the audacity, the arrogance, or just the nerve of a man who only has one platinum plaque to his name, but Freddie Gibbs did not take that lightly. Oh no, he did not. He sat in his Instagram story and let it fly. Budden thought he had better ladies. Nah, thought he could hoop better. Nope. Thought he could outrap Gibbs? Absolutely not. And the ultimate insult, telling Joe Budden he needed to get some cardio in before talking reckless. And here's the thing, Joe Budden has spent the last 20 years trying to convince us that he is better than Freddie Gibbs, that he's more important, that he's the culture, that his words matter more. And yet, here we are, watching him get flamed by the very man he dismissed. Let's take a moment to appreciate the irony here. Joe Budden, the self-proclaimed voice of reason, the guy who's always telling other rappers how to handle their business, just got schooled by Freddie Gibbs. And not just schooled, Gibbs handed him a diploma in humility. The man who once said, "I'm the culture," is now being told to sit down and shut up by a guy who actually lives the life Budden only talks about. And let's not forget the J. Cole angle. Joe Budden, in his infinite wisdom, decided to tell J. Cole how to handle his beef with Freddie Gibbs. Like, who died and made Joe Budden the rap game's Dear Abby? The audacity of this man is truly something to behold. He's out here giving advice like he's some kind of rap Yoda, but in reality, he's more like Jar Jar Binks, annoying, unnecessary, and always in the way. Now, this part right here. This the part that got me hollering. Freddie Gibbs hit Joe Budden with that real talk. That moment when he said Budden be on that industry punk, fake Hollywood nonsense. That's the moment I knew Joe Budden was finished. Because if there's one thing you never want to be in hip-hop, it's the guy who pretends to be real but is actually moving like a corporate industry puppet. That's a stain that don't come out in the wash. That's the type of accusation that turns you into a meme. Joe Budden, the man who prides himself on authenticity, the man who built his entire career on being the anti-industry, anti-Hollywood, pro-I-say-what-I-want guy, is now being called fake by a man who got shot at while eating at a barbecue spot and still posted memes about it later that night. Let's break this down even further. Freddie Gibbs is the guy who's been through the trenches. He's been shot at, he's been blackballed, he's been through the ringer and come out on top. And then you've got Joe Budden, the guy who's been cosplaying as a street dude for the better part of 2 decades. The man who's built his entire brand on being real, but somehow always ends up on the right side of the industry's favor. And let's not forget the podcast angle. Joe Budden has made a career out of talking about other people's business, but when the tables are turned, he can't handle the heat. Freddie Gibbs called him out for being a hypocrite, for talking a big game but folding when it's time to back it up. And the worst part, Gibbs didn't even have to try that hard. He just pointed out the obvious, and the internet did the rest. Joe, my brother, my guy, my podcasting pioneer, this ain't it. You gotta hold this L and hold it tight, like a bottle of lotion in the winter. Freddie Gibbs cooked you and the people watched. They laughed, they screen recorded, they reposted. The damage is done. Now you can fight back. You can do what you do best, talk. Get on your podcast, spin the narrative, say it was all jokes, say it was all love. But deep down, you know the truth. You know the pain of losing on the court and on the internet in the same week. You know the struggle of realizing that no matter how many microphones you sit in front of, you still gotta lace up your shoes and prove it in real life. Freddie Gibbs said what he said. The streets have spoken, and right now, the streets are laughing. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with this final thought. If you ever feel the urge to lace up your sneakers and prove something to the world, just make sure Freddie Gibbs ain't watching. Because he will roast you, and he will make it hilarious. Case closed.